Welcome to the What, Why, and How Can I podcast. What can I say? I'm in a beautiful place today. I'm sure you guys just saw all those cool shots by David. That's just some of the stuff that was going on today in the shop. In this underground manufacturing facility almost.
Underground. I like that.
It's kind of crazy because you wouldn't know that this happens here.
That's true.
If you don't come here, you just see all the beautiful videos and stuff you post.
And a lot of times I think people see the videos and stuff and they come here like, this is it? They expect more. They really do.
Yeah.
But
it does when I see your videos, I'm like, okay, there's probably like a street down here, and I come here, it's like, okay, it looks totally different than what I imagined.
Kind of, it's
a nice little.
It's slick. Yeah, definitely. But we do produce, quite a bit of more product, bumpers and such. Yeah.
So definitely. Before we start going there, this is Max. Max, welcome.
What's up, guys?
Thank you for obviously making time. I know you're a businessman, also a family man, and taking care of juggling a lot of things in life. So we appreciate honestly the time.
Well, thank you for considering me as well. Appreciate that.
Yes.
I know. I mean, it's both ways.
Yeah. So CA Tuned Off-Road is kind of you on Instagram.
A lot of times, CA Tune originally was just nothing but like, it is motorsport, and then CA Tune Off-Road, it's a separate division, just off-road.
Like a step cousin.
Exactly, like a sister company, exactly,
okay.
Yeah. And a lot of times people can't, like, they usually say cat-tuned. They don't say CA. CA is California tuned,
yeah.
And then obviously I'm the off-road division, but people say cat-tuned off-road or cat-tuned.
Okay.
It's easier for them to pronounce or, visualize. Even if you like Google it, if you say CA Tune Off-Road, it won't pop up. If you say cat tuned, you'll catch it.
Oh, really?
That's interesting, yeah.
Well, Siri doesn't really pronounce everything correctly, so...
No, that's true.
It's not a surprise there.
But literally like 80% of people say cat tuned.
In case you guys are wondering, this is Siri. We still don't know what she looks like.
We'll put her head on.
But she is wearing the cat tuned shirt today.
Shirt, yeah. Available on our website.
Yeah, so if you had to describe CA Tuned Off-Road, like what is it to you?
Well, it did change over the years, for sure.
So where'd you guys start?
Originally, obviously, CA Tune was, like I said, if you go back to 2002, that was my brother kind of opened it up. It was more of those race rockets kind of thing, spoilers.
Hold up, race or rice?
Rice, there you go, sorry. Rice, and then like it was the whole Fast and the Fury thing. And,
yeah.
And that kind of died off fast, I think. And I moved all kinds of places, and then obviously he still kept it. And it was still kind of in the background, and then it went to obviously kind of a BMW trend, more and more, and then restoration. And I got obviously into the off-road because first of all, it was just something I wanted to do, honestly, and I loved it with the families going out, off-roading and seeing the nature.
So you can actually enjoy what you're doing.
Exactly. Okay. Not that I didn't enjoy doing BMWs.
Right.
But I did enjoy that more.
It's a more family-friendly...
Exactly. And what I noticed, too, is like the people that were in that scene, the low riders and kind of like the sports, they kind of got their family kind of... And then they would get like a 4Runner or a Tacoma, and then they would go explore kind of thing.
Okay.
I noticed that they have at least both things going on, and that's where we kind of focused on that. I did a couple of rock crawlers, in the sense, and then a couple of SEMA builds, like the one behind me, kind of hanging.
Okay. Nice.
And then about 2 years ago, it just kind of like business just flipped. We did work with Thule on a couple of things with sponsorship with our stuff on their racks, their all the stuff that they have pretty much, and then. One day they're like, well, do you want to do a van? I mean, who wants to do a van?
So Thule asked you?
Thule, yeah. Okay. The actual company, Thule. They're like, well, you want to do a van? I'm like, oh, sure. It's a big company. What would you not say?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Yeah. I always dreamed about doing a van.
Yeah, I'm like, it was actually like a really late call. Like Mike called me. He's like, hey, Max, yeah, of course.
Okay.
And he's like, well, here's just the catch. You got to do it like in 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I can't say no.
Yeah.
But little did I know how much extra work came in. But I had my wife, my brothers, like everybody was in. Like all game. I had like a little video you probably can see on YouTube.
Okay.
Of the van. It kind of got popular. But once I was done with that, it just kind of switched slowly but fast into that whole van life. And the main thing I think that was the transition was that bumper. It was like when I finished it, it was like, what was the name? And that kind of was like the Darth Vader kind of thing. You know, the Vader had the gills kind of thing on the side, like his mask. And so that's what we named it. And it was supposed to be just one bumper. Yeah. And I ended up doing...
So the bumper on that van was the first bumper?
That was it. That was the very first bumper, yeah. And it was, I mean, it's a one-off bumper that came out to be 5 bumpers.
Yeah.
And I was trying to make it a production. But it was a really complicated bumper. You needed the van there. You needed all kinds of stuff. I mean, I still get calls to this day like, hey, I'll give you this much. Just build it. I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But then...
Build the van?
No, build a bumper.
Oh, that specific
That
one.
specific bumper, yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, there's obviously a niche for this stuff. You know, like this, wow. I didn't know how much like the van life or the sprinters or in general, like how popular they are. So after I built that, it just like literally just clicked and opened my eyes like, wow, this is really... cool. Like it's huge, you know? So I'm like, maybe I should, look into that because doing the off-road, it was good. I had good friends, good vibes, really. The main thing was just, it wasn't enough. Like you're just like looking for, okay, this is good for like making money.
Yeah.
But you're always thinking about like, what else can I do?
Right.
How can I explore? I mean, to me, I think I'm always trying to, as a person, you're always trying to like move up,
improve, grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trying to get the raise, trying to do this and that. So with this, I'm like, wow, this is going to be good. This whole van life thing, and I used to do a lot of bumpers, and I love that. This whole and a dealer here, local Mercedes of Rockland, they lend me a van. Like, hey, let's do something together, and that's how kind of the first Hammerhead came about.
Wow.
Yeah, and then after that, I'm like, there's like I was telling you earlier, like there's so many sensors, there's so many things you gotta make sure that they all work and fall together. So I was like, you know what, I gotta pull the trigger, I gotta buy a van. Yeah. So I did, and then one prototype, 2, 3, and then the bumpers started coming together. And I think just recently we're like at 2, maybe 220. Wow. Yeah, it's been awesome.
So how did the Hammerhead name come?
It's a good, interesting story. Good thing you asked. When I build it, I'm like, it's always about the name. It's a good name. I think it
has to be catchy.
Exactly. It's going to sell itself almost, you know? And it's a catchy thing. So if somebody says it's going to catch. And when I built this thing, I took a picture and I sent it to, my brother Igor. Yeah. And Sashka too. And Sashka's like, that's a Hammerhead. Like really? It clicked right there and then. Yeah. That's why I call. He's like, you owe me a royalty fees. He's like, you owe me it. I was like, yeah, it's a Hammerhead. Yeah. So that's how it came out. Family. That's the best thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then obviously we did later on the older model Mercedes and try to kind of keep it as this shark kind of thing. I don't know. So I call that the shovel head. People are like, what's next? The knucklehead? You know? Yeah. So I don't know. I mean. We'll see about the Ford Transit, what else we're going to call it, But,
that's right. Yeah. So you're getting the Ford Transit.
That's the next thing.
Exclusively on this podcast.
Nobody knows.
He's getting the Ford Transit, and then obviously you're going to come up with some beautiful
something
things
cool,
for it.
Right? Yeah, and then working on, the rear bumper kind of idea too. Okay. So that's hopefully springtime. We'll launch it. That's what I'm shooting for.
That's exciting. Okay, so are you excited because I know production just to get with the bumper where you are at now was a lot of work.
It was. I mean, it went through phases like, okay, like now obviously it's all, big and it's one phase, but you would have like the corners, you kind of like cut and paste kind of thing. You would weld them every single day, grind them and weld them and grind them. So it was obviously a lot of work. But in after I think maybe 30, 40, start looking for companies that could laser cut. They can form it for me. That way the guys, all they do is just clean up a little bit and then just weld. And I think we're pretty much there, but I never stop improving for sure. Yeah. If there's a way I can improve on my install or the product, it's why not?
For sure. I mean, we were checking them out earlier. They look really nice. Like you guys.
Thank you.
Like it looks like there's a lot of quality in what you guys do. So
Yeah, I mean, like even the trim around it, that way when somebody installs it, it's not gonna scratch the bumper or any way. And yeah, and like I said, we do probably primarily I don't know 80% of wholesale.
Okay.
So if our dealers are installing much faster and they're liking the product, they're gonna try to sell it to their customers, and customers love it too. So it goes all the way. And I think if the way the business is growing now, we'd probably be just nothing but manufacturing parts.
And instead of installing
anything, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's just it's just too much time to do that, you know. And I think that there's more money that way, I believe.
Okay.
From what I see.
From whatever. I'm sure you're doing a lot of calculations and formulations
for
on
sure.
that.
And then obviously, if I get a bigger shop, excuse me. And more bays, more people, and everybody knows it's hard to find good people. You know that.
Yeah.
But if I have like a separate shop that only installs, and then this shop only fabricates and develops products, then yeah, it's possible. Right now, it's kind of a still small operation that we're trying to fit everything in one.
I feel like you're almost at the place where it's like, okay, if I grow 2 more feet, I either have to go big or I have to stay small.
You're right. And
you're almost right at that line.
And I pretty much have to go big.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, why not?
Right, exactly. Go big or go home, Max.
Exactly. Don't stop. It's like a fish. It's almost a dead fish that's going to swim against or with the current. You got to swim with the current. Against the current, I should say.
Against, yes.
Yeah. So we have to. And then hopefully, like I said, with the Ford and other things, we just keep, and then just people always talk about, the roof racks or the sliders. I always want to make something. You always want to do again, there's so much space, so much time in a day to develop a new product. Because it goes through quite a bit. If you think about it, I would say good 4 or 5 months until you really get it down how you would like it.
So how do you like to get the dimensions and stuff? I know some fabricators, like they love like Google SketchUp and they'll have all their dimensions in there and then draw it up. Do you like to just have the machine in front of you and actually physically?
Well, a lot of times it's just you have like, let's say you're doing a bumper, for instance. It's obviously from years' experience trying to figure out how you're gonna do it, but I never have any sketches at that point. You start with like the winch. The winch is if you're gonna run a winch. Obviously, if it's a bumper, the winch is your main foundation of the whole bumper. If you can squeeze a winch into some area that you want it to fit, boom. Then you start building the rest of the bumper from there. Have a flow.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because if you're building a bumper and then like, okay, how am I supposed to put this winch in there?
And then you put the winch just like right on top and it looks all ugly.
You've seen those before. Like there's like sticking out or something. They're just like placed.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
So yeah, so if whoever's building a bumper, start with the winch foundation.
Yeah.
That's true, because you get a clearance here and there, and boom, kind of have it with the jack or something.
And plus, you have to make it strong enough, that bumper, to freaking pull out a van, dude.
Exactly, yeah. So that's another couple of things that we improved, like 1 to 2, let's say a couple of bumpers. And then we had people ask us, hey, I need a hitch receiver in the front.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this couple of bikes in front. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll put it in since I have my van. I'm going to test it.
Yeah.
So then I put the hitch. I put this long, like a 6-foot bar in there. And I'm bouncing on the end of it. I'm like, 220.
Yeah.
See how it's gonna work. I'm like, oh, it's kind of moving a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's put a nice angle iron in the back to keep it from flexing.
Okay.
So then you move, and then like at first we had a kind of an option. You want the hitch receiver, you don't. But now it's just it comes with it, because you might not need it today.
Yeah.
You might need it tomorrow.
Further down the road, you get a dog that rides a bike and you want to take his bike.
A lot of people, they have these cool hammocks now. You can put in the front. On
the hitch, right? Yeah, that's cool.
I actually should stock. I keep telling this. Like people you should stock it. Like I should.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty cool idea.
It is a cool idea. Like you just park like your nose into like a big old cliff and just like.
Because sometimes you go to a place and there's like, okay, there's really nowhere to put a hitch or a hammock up.
Yeah.
And you don't want to bring that big old thing that unfolds.
Yeah, it's huge, right?
Yeah, but
they make like I can't remember the company. It's like fairly small.
Yeah.
And it like goes out and it's strong. I think it holds up.
That's awesome. Well, if for some reason they see this, send Max a couple of hammocks.
Yeah, come on.
He'll sell them for you.
No, for sure.
Let's go into... So Cali Tune Off-Road came from CA Tuned.
Correct.
But also there was some little backstory about Stellar.
Oh snaps! He brought it. Yeah, there was. So when I guess I'll
let's talk about it, and then maybe we can have Stellar on here.
Yeah, there you go.
And to talk about this. And
so when I left to say or transitioned from CA Tune to CA Tune Off Road, it wasn't CA Tune Off Road yet.
Okay.
It was just kind of in the air.
Okay.
The reason is family. It's nothing to hide. Family do when you're dealing with family, you get into a little bit.
Right.
And so
actually competition is actually very healthy.
Absolutely.
This is why we're here now.
Yeah, and I was like, I will try something new, something different. And at that time, I was just figuring out either I need a shop, what do I do? And Dimitri, that's now Stellar, he, good friend of mine, and he's like, well, let's do something together. I was like, I don't like I should say partners.
Yeah.
Because partners, they're great at a certain point.
But you always have to ask for permission.
With that, and then people. I mean, you have a lot of people that have partners. They were somehow they work out. For me, for a while didn't want to do that. But convincing it happened. This is the actual location that it started with.
Okay.
And I think it was. Dima can maybe say it. Maybe 3-4 months, pretty much, and then we went our separate ways. It was really friendly. There was no, to this day, we're good. And I sent a bunch of business, because some things I don't do now.
Okay.
But Stellar Built did a lot of custom work. I think now they're pretty big now. They do they probably have 6 or 7 bays or something, lifts.
Okay.
Yeah, they do re-gears, all kinds of stuff. But he moved a separate way, and then I was like, what now? What? I'm not Stellar.
Yeah.
No, I'm nothing again.
Yeah.
So I was like, I reached out to Igor. I was like, well, what should I do? CA Tune Off Road. He's got the background of the CA Tune. He can still help me kind of promote the off road division. Off that. Yeah, and that's where it came with CA Tune Off Road between the two things.
Wow, that's all things happen for a reason.
Correct, and I think that he looks back and he says, that was a good,
Yeah,
to a certain point.
Looking back at it now, I'm glad you guys. I'm glad we didn't grow up in a gang related mentality, or else some of us might be dead now. But we handled this civilly.
Of course, and I believe that Charlie, like if you hold too long a grudge, it's just gonna hurt you more than the other person.
Yeah,
it's just let it go and be friends and enjoy life, right?
Awesome.
It's too short,
of course,
to be like So yeah.
So what would you say to in the area that I grew up in, or that we grew up in? There's a bunch of kids driving 4Runners and modifying their trucks, and I don't know if they're spending real money on the modifications, or just getting the cheapest stuff and just making the stuff look cool, adding a tent on the top maybe that they never use. What would you say to a kid out there trying to build themselves an off-road vehicle? Give them some advice.
I think it's awesome. First of all, if they're doing that,
okay, because
I believe in I'd rather have you having an off-road vehicle than like a sports car, because speed does kill. Okay. And if you have an off-road vehicle, think about it. You're out there.
Speed kills.
Speed kills, fast cars.
Oh, not like speed, okay.
No, not the drug speed.
Okay.
That does kill you too.
They're right.
Yeah. There you go. I guess. Thanks for clarifying.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? Like a fast car, let's just say, we all know or had somebody that got killed,
right,
because of just speed. Was going fast or something.
The other day, actually, on Elkhorn Boulevard, some dude was flying 105. A tree jumped out in the middle of the street. He literally, the car was, all you could see is 4 wheels. He died. Thankfully, nobody else was hit by that. But yeah, speed kills.
An off-roader, you really can go fast. You could try a little bit.
Crawling.
Yeah. But let's put it this way. You have a 4Runner. That's people kind of like the third gen is kind of really popular between especially the youth here.
Yeah.
You can pick one up fairly cheap, $5,000. And then they put a couple of mods. Obviously, they're not going to have money to spend, a couple of $1,000s on a suspension if they just bought the vehicle for that much.
Yeah.
So they turn to alternative, they use shocks from a Tundra or something. Springs from an FJ80 cruiser, Land Cruiser. So they kind of mix in things, and they can do a pretty decent job, on budgeting. And if if they do get a tent, what does that mean? That means they're camping. They're enjoying the outdoors with their friends, and just to me, that's
better than sitting inside. And
absolutely, and their mind clear. I think, and that's why I think maybe that even the off road is booming so much, and then obviously now that the COVID, people are all more outdoors, but it's because the people were just so stuck indoors. And
they just need an excuse to go.
Exactly. And then they're so teched or something. They're home, they're on their computers, and just like sometimes you got to snap and just get out. And it's a kind of a bug, too. It's a good bug to have.
It is. That's outdoors.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the reasons why I went kind of to off-road as well, because I loved it. And my kids loved it. They're sitting there picking on rocks and getting the worms out.
I remember growing up, like you guys were always fishing with your brothers.
Oh, man.
Always playing, doing something outdoors, whether it be animals, bees, just always some kind of acreage and outside. So
it's definitely better. Let's put it this way, to do that than sit at home or just be on your video games. That's a lot of people do that.
Okay, so sure. I got my first. For example, I got a 4Runner. What is the best mod or to spend my money on first?
Well, I mean, first of all, if you get it used, make sure it's safe. Like your suspension. Most of it could be tie rod ends or some. And I know their bowl joints are not that strong. Just replace some of that. Make sure it's safe. That's for sure.
I have no idea what bowl joints are.
This guy.
I'm just like,
Well, you have like the arm controls. They have bowl joints, so then they move. It's like
ball joint.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What do you think I said?
Like bulging. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what is a bulging? Okay.
Bowl joints. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, make it safe.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they just buy it. It's a tired engine. I mean, the whole suspension's got 200,000 miles on it.
Okay.
And then just go straight off-roading, and then boom, the wheel comes off or something.
Dude, that's actually a fact. My brother had this whole like 92 Tacoma, and it was all had these like 32s on there, and he's just driving. These homies put a couch in the bed with some buddies back there driving on the highway. The wheel comes off on the highway, races them. They're skidding on their drum. Pull over. They get lucky, dude. The cop helped them stop the traffic. They got their wheel back. No ticket, no nothing.
So what was it? Just stud broke off?
I still don't know like exactly what happened. But yeah, safety is number one.
Oh, for sure.
I would agree. But what's a good way to spend some money if you're trying to enjoy the outdoors on a vehicle? Because sometimes, especially guys, they're like, oh, now I want to do golf, or now I want to do this, and there's like all these $10,000 hobbies that you got. But if you're starting with a hobby like off-roading, what's a good way to experience before you start investing a lot of money?
I think you could actually do quite a bit of off-roading. I mean, with even the stock vehicle. Before I tell people, okay, well, just if you're gonna do, let's say, tire mods, do let's say 31-inch tires, decent tires you can air down, go off-roading. All of a sudden, you're gonna do mild off-roading. All of a sudden, you get a little more experienced. And you're going to, obviously it's going to take maybe 2-3 months. You just recuperate some cash maybe. You spend, I want to go bigger tires now. But then after you go bigger tires, then you're going to have to go bigger lift because the tires have to fit underneath the car.
Okay, right.
So it's kind of like a snowball effect a little bit.
It's like a drug, dude.
It's like I had people like, oh, I just need like a 3-inch lift, just really mild. And then they come back 6 months later and they're like, I need bigger tires. And that's how it usually happens.
Yeah.
Because they're getting comfortable with their rig. Their skills are getting better.
Okay.
They can go better places, more extreme places, and then it gets that adrenaline rush. You want to do more and more, which is good. Like I said,
right? It does take you in a good direction as long as it's not like they say weed is a gateway to other drugs. Well, this is a gateway to more exploring.
Yeah. If you get a 4x4, then it's a drug to someone, but it's a good drug for sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, tires. And then if you're comfortable with those, obviously go bigger and you have to go lift.
Yeah.
There's so many lift kits out there. It's just nuts, really. Be like, what kind of lift kit should I get? I'm like, well, what's your budget? And then there's the budget, thing.
So is there like, no, I'm asking these questions maybe because I honestly don't know much about off-roading and stuff. I'm a noob. Yes. And so is there like lift kits that are actual worth the money, or is there lift kits that are priced because they're the Gucci lift kit? To
a certain point, depending on what you're going to do again. If you're just going to go, let's say, arrow out here, like say to people go like Eagle Lakes or Cisco area, you don't really need like expensive lift kit. But if you're gonna do like nonstop jumps, or like dooms, or if you nonstop, your suspension is gonna move. Let's say it's just moving. Those shocks are gonna burn out so quick. That's why you have the reservoirs. Okay. That's why there's Fox or King suspension that will absorb it better. They're tuned better for your vehicle. Some of these generic you just throw underneath you. They're just made for specific vehicle that
driving.
Will fit.
Yeah.
They'll fit, the same shock will fit a big old Ram, and the same shock will fit in the back of your Tacoma. Now, when you go more expensive, the individual shock will be tuned per your weight and your whatever you're trying to. So if you're ordering suspension from Fox, they're gonna say, well, what kind of driving you gonna be doing?
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna be like, well, I'm gonna be doing 50-50 driving on the highway and then driving off road. So they'll tune it to you that way. It's more comfortable.
Can you tune it once it like?
It's a little bit, yes. It has tunable, like, and dampening, like, harsh and soft, but inside the valving makes a lot of difference too. So if you're going to be doing, like, let's say sand dunes nonstop, it's only going to be soft. It's going to be cushy. Taking on the road, you're going to have a lot of body roll.
Okay.
So there's hit and miss, on certain things. You have to find that, I think, that 50-50, what's going to be nice and balanced, for you.
If you're going to be using it as a daily and an off-road.
Most of the people do. Yeah. They don't have a tons of money. They don't have, like,
hey, this is my Saturday car. This is my Tuesday car.
Exactly. But the suspension's gone a long ways from, being back in the days. They've gotten to a certain point that you can still do both. Like I said, with the adjustable, you can soften it up if you're going off-roading. It'll absorb it, stiffen it up on the highways or something, so it doesn't have that too much sway.
Okay, awesome. Are you hiring?
Yes.
You are hiring.
I would like to have another welder, somebody that can fabricate a little bit here and there.
Okay.
Maybe an installer. I mean, a lot of times you don't have to know too much. Common sense is number one for sure.
And wanting to be outside.
Mostly common sense, because you can't. At a certain point, you can't teach that. Yeah. And I hate to say that, but you can't. But if somebody, I can see, somebody that really has common sense and he's willing to learn, I can invest maybe 2 weeks into somebody, and he'll be able to learn or weld the way I would like him. And not only that, he'll learn how to weld. You don't have to have a college degree
to weld. I mean, I was checking out the guys welding outside.
Pretty good, huh?
Dude, some really nice beads they have and going.
Then, like Roman, he came in here, he knew something, but not as much. And now he's like, dude, he's better than me for sure.
At welding?
Oh, yeah.
What a pro.
Yeah, because, I'm not welding every day times 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, look at these beads. Like, wow.
В Советском Союзе, they gave молоко to welders.
Yeah.
Do you give your welders молоко?
I should. Maybe I should have a goat here or something. Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely, we do have fans here and there, but it would be nicer to have. I actually bought him one of those, like the masks that you have, and it has like a filter in the back.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
I've seen that before. I don't want it. It's too much, because it's like you have to gear up.
And then probably it's way more comfortable just to knock it out. And I definitely understand.
But grinding and stuff, definitely a mask. Glasses to make sure that you're not breathing, because those metal shavings. They go in. They don't go out.
There's weld boots. Got all the gear going.
Safety is
that's super cool. What would you suggest to a guy looking to start his own shop? Because there's plenty of dudes out there that love cars, love trucks or whatever, and they're like, I want to get myself a shop. And then they get a shop, and you obviously you had more experience with getting a shop and having to produce some kind of income and revenue to pay for everything, right?
Right.
What are some things that you learned from your experience?
Well, if a guy wants to get a shop and he wants to like actually make it his income, like, because a lot of guys just want to have a shop and hang out, like it's kind of cool,
True.
You do your stuff and it's like, hey, a bunch of guys over there, they're having a good time. And that's one of the reasons too, like you gotta, like when you're opening a shop and you have a lot of friends, it's gonna be tough for sure. Not only like these friends they're good people, good friends, but they kind of, I don't know, they're in the way.
You have a shop, can I leave my car?
Yeah, it's something like that, or they're just over there. But if you're trying to succeed in something, if you're thinking about getting a shop, then you already know some certain things. So what I learned, if you're trying to like be different than everybody else, I should say. Okay, let's just say I'm an off-road shop, and there's probably in Sacramento, how many off-road? A lot. What's going to make you be different than all these shops? That's what you have to. How are you going to compete otherwise? I mean, somebody's going to call, hey, how much for this lift kit? You'd be like, $650. You're going to call this, how much is this? 600. He's gonna go with that guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know why, just because it's cheaper, 500 or $50. You know, so it's like, to me, if you're trying to succeed and you're trying to be this shop, I think you need to build some kind of rig that will showcase your work, some kind of truck or whatever you're doing. That vehicle of some sort has to be different than anybody else.
Like, why are you special, right?
Exactly. And when people see that, and that's why I think that to a certain point, if you look back on the CA tune, it was, like I said, between the 2002, all those Hondas and everything, and then when BMW, I did this 2002 BMW, like the one right there, with the Honda motor. You know, the BMW guys, they're really purist. You know, they want to make sure everything stays the same. You know, even if you're going to modify a different engine, it better be BMW. I put a Honda motor. They called it a lawnmower engine. All kinds of things. They, I mean, first of all, they didn't understand.
Did it have VTEC though, Max?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I mean, that motor produced way more power. It's one of the best motors out there. You know, the F20C. But it gave so much hate to a certain point that the hate blew up, and then people recognized that this is kind of a badass vehicle. You know, this is, so that was his kind of moment. And the CA tune kind of blew up after that. So then when I went to the off-road, I'm like, I need to do something like that. How am I supposed to
you can't take a bunch of risky pictures and then blow your shop up. You gotta
have something. So that's when I figured, okay, what are we gonna do? And then I found the 62 Land Cruiser. So I'm like, okay.
Well, this one right here?
This one right here. I could put an LS. Everybody did that. I could put this and that. So I put a Mercedes diesel in it. It's an OM606. A lot of people know that engine. It's a very robust. It's like a 2JZ in the diesel world, you know? So I did that. And from that, I went to SEMA, you know, Toy Tires, all the sponsorship came in, all that things come together. And then that kind of got me out there. You know, features in the magazines. So for being,
it looks super bad. Dude.
I know. For being like a small shop that can produce a product like that, you know, that already puts you in a different level. So
did you sell this thing?
I did recently. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
I know. Well, nice, but
it's sad, but nice. I mean, somebody else can enjoy it, dude.
The guy is really enjoying it. He's in LA. He picked it up like I think 2-3 months ago.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So instead of me just doing like regular 4x4s, if it's a shop, just put in lift kits. And that's fine too. You can still do that. But if you want to be on top notch, if you want to go to these SEMA events, you want to do that, you got to build it. You got to put all your sweat and effort. And it might take a year, but do it. I mean, you'll get in magazine outfits if it's badass rig. It's going to be in magazine. It's going to be this and that, and that's how you're going to grow. You got to have one kind of like a face of your business.
While you're there. So you mentioned traveling and showcasing. I know lately you've been doing a lot of that with the van and kind of meeting all your van fans.
It was kind of cool. It was actually kind of cool.
Tell me a little bit about that. All that traveling you guys are doing.
So it's interesting. Like I was gonna do more like the bigger events because you know you got that what was it called, the big shows they have, the Overland Expo, East and West and all that, but they canceled because it brings thousands of people. And COVID, they're like, not gonna happen. So they canceled. But the small event that we, the Adventure Van Expo is the main thing, and Neil's there. He actually came up.
Neil,
the owner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he came up with having a kind of a small, but still having these events. And it was nice. We did, I think, 4 events.
So you kind of traveled the country.
Yeah, the first one was in Missoula, Montana. So it was kind of nice. And the thing is, it wasn't just about like, boom, getting it there, come back. We actually just literally traveled just like van life supposed to.
That's pretty cool.
I get to feel the actual van life.
Yeah.
So it was good. No, like Idaho, I always wanted to go through Idaho like the way I wanted to. Not like just Boise and back or something.
Yeah.
And it's like,
dude, I hate that drive on that straight road.
Yeah, right? And it's like, Boise, there's nothing to see. You know, what's Idaho? It's boring. But no, like it's
beautiful.
Idaho's beautiful.
I bet.
Especially like you're going up towards the eastern side, you know?
Okay.
Next to Wyoming and going up towards Montana.
Oh, all the hills.
I know. So we did that and then came home. I think we actually went up, did a little circle too, coming back home. Next one was, was actually in Wyoming as well.
Okay.
So we come back there. It was really nice. It was the ski resort, Grand Targhee is the name. Really cool place too. It's on top of the mountain. You can still like take a ride on top and people do bikes down.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really cool. Which is actually, I never thought I thought, man, they're just shut down, all their ski resorts because you only need snow to use them.
Oh, and then in the sun. Okay, I got you. So they're open in the summer.
Yeah, so you just put your mountain bike in the front.
Yeah.
And they'll take it up there and they'll unload it and then you just ride down. Your bike down.
Wow, what an awesome idea.
I know. You can still produce income.
Make a hammerhead for a bike.
So we did that. And then I think it was Colorado trip that we did to Dillon, Colorado. That was a good one, actually. I like that one. It was actually so many people that they actually kind of had to clicker. Like, we got too many people. Let's wait. One comes in, one comes out kind of thing.
Ooh, what did you like about that show?
It was cool. Like, we're next to a lake. I mean, all of them beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But just Colorado is it's a beautiful state. Next to a lake, a lot of vendors, a lot more. Because Colorado's kind of inflated with the off-road, the van life. There's a lot of shops that build the interior and stuff. So they were there.
Oh, okay.
So most of it, there's a lot of people curious, like, what are you doing? What's going on? How do I do this and that? A lot of questions, but most of it was just kind of having the connection of the dealers and whoever you're dealing with. And then I think the last one we did just recently was the Big Bear.
Okay.
Big Bear was pretty good too. It was one of the biggest ones.
How do you showcase your van? You just pull up and people ask you questions, or you get, because now you have to be like all presentable about it,
Right. I mean, the first show I went to Montana. I didn't have anything. Like, I was just parked.
Hi, I'm Max. This is the bumper.
This is the bumper. And it was kind of like a really heavy COVID, so a lot of people did not show up. But I did have the Thule van next to it because we took it from here and kind of showcased it there, and a lot of people like that one. It's really nice. But my van, really, inside's not done yet. But people literally, they want to see every single van inside. Like, literally, just like, what's going on? What is this? How did you do? I mean, the most thing people are really excited about is how do you fit all these people in the van? There's like 6 people, right?
Oh, 6 of you guys.
Yeah. Like, where does she sleep? Where does he sleep? Okay, well, you got 3 people on top.
Yeah.
And 3 people on the bottom, because one of our youngest just sleeps with us.
Yeah.
And then that's how you move things around. They're like, just amazing.
How do you do
I know. But then actually we had the tent too on the first.
Okay.
So that was cool. And then my oldest, Sophia, that was her room.
Yeah.
She was on
top
top
in the attic.
Yeah. They fight over that, whoever sleeps up there.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Because it's like kind of cool. You get the view.
See, that's the cool thing about a van is like, yeah, you have all that room inside, but then you have that entire, pretty much a deck on top.
Exactly.
You just fill it with stuff.
I mean, some people just fill it with stuff. Exactly. I mean, they're filling with like all these solar panels, all kinds of stuff. I mean, on mine, since I have so many kids, I have you've seen the box on top. So you just can throw stuff that we don't need inside.
Yeah.
If you go to the snow and wet clothes, just throw it up there.
Throw it all, or the sand, throw all the sandy stuff in there. That's pretty cool.
So yeah, we enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. I mean, I put 24,000 miles. It's almost going to be a year since I bought the van.
Wow.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I can't wait to get 250,000. I daily it.
Yeah.
I seriously daily the van.
It's just you love it so much.
It's so comfortable to drive. It's a magnet. It's a huge magnet. It's basically a billboard that, sells me this is what I do. Exactly. On the other shows, obviously I got a little display, got a little smarter,
Yeah.
We did our brakes, bigger brakes too, that we sell.
Okay.
So we did the bigger brakes. That was the last one. We did the Big Bear. I got the bumper on display so people can see what's in the inside, what's in the outside. Yeah, they can touch it, move it around. So got a little smarter on that one. And obviously, you learn, adapt. So hopefully, I don't know, next year, we'll see, how things move. But what's interesting, the first show was just me and my bumper, right?
Yeah.
I think it was the second show, I think John, the Al van, he had his van. My van was there. And then Dillon, Colorado, there was 4 or 5 vans with my bumper.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So,
were they from here or from just from
everywhere? Yeah. It was interesting.
That's super cool. So
I'm wow, look at this. It's growing rapidly. And to a certain point, I might not even have to be there, and then the product will
sell itself.
But I love it. I love dealing with talking to people. Hey, Max.
And the people are like, oh, dude, this is the designer, bro.
Yeah. And even the companies that were kind of competitors or not, they're coming up. Hey, Max.
You got a recognized game.
No, because they were there all these shows, from the first one. So hey, you going to be in the next show? Yeah, I'll be there. So it's really nice. It become a little family.
That is cool, man. Yeah. That is super cool. So I want to thank you for doing this. Sharing all this kind of just yourself with us.
Yeah.
How you came up, and I know it's been a long journey for you to get where you're at now, from flipping a bunch of rice rockets, probably from, I don't know what age, 13, 15?
Oh, I think it was starting with my dad like 15, yeah.
15
Yeah.
to here you are now. And, you know, who would have thought that you would go from like Civics to now you're doing, it's all van life. And I'm honestly happy that it's a cool niche and you found it very successful.
Absolutely.
So that's cool. And now you got the Ford coming up, you're going to do more, design more things for that, front bumper, back bumper. So where can people find you, find your products, find all the stuff you guys offer?
Well, what we offer, I mean, you can go on the website for sure.
Mm-hmm.
CATuneOffroad.com.
Okay.
Right now, obviously, for the vans, all we have is just the front bumper.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will have more products coming.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do choose the bumper, you have just options. You can go, different lights, different winches. And people do call me, and there's nothing wrong with calling me. And just, and we do suspension. It's not on their website.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of Van Compass suspension upgrades. A lot of times, if they call Van Compass directly, they're like, well, since I'm a dealer in this area, like, what area are you in? Oh, you're in San Francisco. Talk to Max, or you're in Stockton. And then they'll call me, and we'll figure out what they need for their vehicle. Okay. So a lot of times they'll call. It's a kind of a one-on-one, kind of almost like 5-10 minutes trying to figure out exactly what their needs are and which stage they need, on the suspension, and we'll go from there. So.
And do you offer financing, Matt?
Unfortunately not.
No.
And we can take credit cards. Okay. We'll take credit cards. Any credit cards you got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So CATuneOffroad.com.
Correct.
On Instagram, CATuneOffroad.
Yeah.
CATuneOffroad pretty much anywhere. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for doing this. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, the story.
Yeah. Hopefully that kind of entertained some people.
It entertained me, dude. I think Max is a super easy going guy. That's how I remembered you, dude.
Going at this, yeah.
Dude, I always remembered you just like as a super nice guy. It's always laughing. Like you just laugh things off. So, which it's a good characteristic. Like 2020.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like how 2020. I hate to say it, but a lot of people did lose their business. Maybe they lost their maybe some loved ones. Who knows from the COVID. But thank God for me, it's been nothing but positive.
Yeah.
Not, but a lot of people are there. So you have to maybe adapt. That's another thing why maybe this COVID's happening. So it's like, well, maybe I need to adapt and figure something else that I can, even if this happens again, what's going to happen? Like,
dude,
you know what I mean?
Now that you said that, our generation, hasn't really went through anything where they've had to learn to adapt, It was always like our parents acting crazy and saving this and saving that because like, oh, not so like we had it in the Soviet Union or here.
For sure.
And we're just like, okay, these dad, mom, what are you talking about? Like we're in America. Everything's going to be fine.
Were you here when the millennium, like remember the 2000?
Yeah.
My dad like got a big old propane. I think it's still like full underneath his house. Like that, what are you doing? I don't know. Who knows? Potatoes and stuff. But see, something like this that we weren't prepared to a certain point.
But now, like every business owner is like, okay, well, hopefully it never happens again. But I am ready for the next 2020.
Exactly, for sure. And then, like I said, adapt to maybe changing some things. And I think that patience. If you're like we were talking about, with the business and stuff, somebody wants to do a shop, or you just gotta have patience. Things will come. They
just
will.
Keep grinding
away.
Literally.
Exactly. You have to. Anything you're doing.
Yeah.
If you have a goal, and maybe this podcast, patience. You'll get it for sure. I believe in it. Good things come to people that way.
Awesome. Sure. Thank you again. Blessings, brother.
Thank you.
Yep.